Hello everyone, welcome to this week's writing Q&A. This week's question is from Grace Voracek. I hope I'm saying that right. She says, I have a question about negative arcs. I know you've talked about 3 kinds of negative arcs on your blog. However, is there such a thing as a negative flat arc? Character clings to the same lie. It seems to make sense that there would be, but I'm not sure if I've ever heard any writers talk about it. I'm thinking of this arc as more for a supporting character since I'm not sure how effective it would be if used for an MC. All right, so short answer is absolutely, you can totally do a negative flat arc. But before I get into that, I just want to really quickly talk about terms to make sure that we're all on the same page here. So character arc, as I teach it, comes in 3 basic flavors. Positive change, in which a character moves from a limiting perspective, or a lie, into a more expanded and useful perspective or a truth. Or they can go in the opposite direction, which would be a negative change arc, in which they either start in the truth and end in the lie, or start in a lie and end in a worse lie. And you can also have what I call a disillusionment arc, which is basically a positive arc in that they go from lie to truth, but they're not too happy about it. They aren't able to completely integrate it within the story, and it doesn't necessarily have a positive effect on the person. And then we have the flat arc, which isn't as flat as it seems. So this is a story in which the protagonist is unchanging. They start out the story in possession of the story's primary thematic truth and are able to use that truth and their understanding of it to affect the world and the characters around them, and creating positive change in those characters. So it's absolutely possible that you could have a character who is demonstrating a negative flat arc in that they're unchanging, but that they are unchanging within a lie. So they start out with a lie-based or limited perspective, and they maintain that throughout the story. But what's important in a flat arc story is that there is change. It's just that it's something that the protagonist is catalyzing within the world around them. So in a negative flat arc, you'd have a character who is obviously not enacting a positive truth, but because of their charisma or whatever, they're able to kind of seduce other characters over to the dark side and negatively affect them. So they're creating change within the world and the characters around them, but not in a positive way, in a negative way. Now, as Grace said, you're more likely to see this in supporting characters, and this is what I call a negative impact character. So an impact character is usually present in any type of change arc. We often see this as a mentor character, although it can take other forms. And this is a character who is in possession of the story's truth in a positive change arc and is able to sort of teach or impact the characters who are changing, the protagonist in this instance, and encourage them to see that truth and move into this more expanded and effective mindset. But in a negative impact, with a negative impact character, obviously they're going to be negatively influencing the character and encouraging them, or discouraging them, we could say, to move into a more lie-based mindset. But you can definitely use this for a protagonist. I was trying to think of some examples. I am recording this the day before I launch my new book, Writing Archetypal Character Arcs. So my brain is kind of fried right now. And I wasn't able to think of a really good example of a story that had a protagonist with a flat negative change or negative flat arc. But perhaps somebody will think of one and put it in the comments. And if you have any further questions that you'd like me to answer in a future video, just be sure to leave that in the comments on YouTube or Instagram, and I will answer it next week.